please.
You're on.
Okay, everybody. Tonight we have the honor to have with us a very good friend of ours. He is an MLM legend.
In his own mind.
He's a sought-after speaker, trainer, and mentor. He has a reputation for building large organizations around the world, and this guy has more quotes than Google. So he's titled his talk tonight, Lose All Network Marketing Fear Forever in 30 Minutes. So I want you all to help me welcome Mr. Curtis Broome.
Well, I'm Curtis if I look this way, and I'm Lisa if I look this way. So, hey gang, so I'm actually using my computer when I'm going to share a screen here in a minute, and then I got Lisa, because I'm up here in Lisa's home office since we're business partners, and I'm kind of using both. So I'm kind of schizophrenic. I'm going to talk to you in touch with my feminine side through Lisa, and then I'm going to demonstrate through Curtis. Thanks, Mark. In addition, here's what it really is. The real quick thing for, some may have seen me on these before, or if not, the great thing we all do is we're in a business where the most important thing we do is we share stories, because we can attach people's hearts to a story, and then we give them enough data that their head tells their heart it's okay to do what you want to do. And that's really in essence what we do. We want to help people go out and get in touch with the emotional things that drive and make their heart and their soul and their spirit soar if they can get in touch with them and see the possibility of them. But we have to back it up with substance, enough substance that their head says it's okay to be wild and crazy and leap. And so my background for 27 years, almost 28 years this year, I've been around network marketing. I had success in traditional business. Started my first businesses in my early mid-20s. Was introduced to networking when I was 30. I think the arrogance of traditional business success, I didn't take it as seriously as I wish I had. And I failed miserably for a couple of years. I was uncoachable. I didn't listen to my leadership. I didn't do what they said. I thought that's all silly, ridiculous stuff. Surely there's a way to do this more professionally. And so I didn't listen to all that and failed for 2 years, was going to quit when I met an individual, and the details of that is really important. I just met someone who, through a sequence of events and conversations, I asked if he'd be willing to mentor me. He was willing to take up that challenge. And he ended up being a mentor for, 16, 17 years. He passed away about 8 years ago. We were never in the same company. He never made money off of me. And I asked him one time, actually I asked him about 8 years in, I said, why did you ever decide to actually mentor me? And he said, because I thought you were arrogant, obnoxious, and horrific. I was going to squash you like the cockroach bug you were, as fast and as hard as I could, so you'd leave the profession and never come back and hurt anybody. And I said, wow, okay, well, thanks. Appreciate that. He was known to be politically correct, did not exist in his vocabulary. He was just, Daniel, when I met him 26 years ago, at that time was a 37-year veteran of direct sales, 25 years of network marketing. He had had so much success for so long, he didn't care what anybody else's opinion was. He knew what the truth was. He would share it with people whether they liked it or not and let them deal with it. So he and I had a great relationship. I said, so I guess it didn't turn out the way you expected. He said, no, it turns out you were tougher than I thought and actually listened. So yeah, our deal was that I would spend the rest of my career teaching everything I could, or everything that I could learn, to as many as possible. So I love doing things like this. As Mark mentioned, I've built large teams. I've had great mentoring and coaching, not just from Daniel, but from others. And I've also run companies. I'm currently a co-founder and president of a company. I actually live in Hong Kong. I'm back in the US for the ANMP meeting that I hosted. And then I'm back here for development meetings, and I'm headed back to Hong Kong here in about a week and a half. And so I've been in all parts of the business. But let me spend some time with you guys tonight sharing something I think will be of value. I mentioned some things last week, and one of them was that it was one of the things I actually taught at the ANMP. It's something that has come up more often in our conversations, because Lisa and I coach a lot of folks just because we like them and love Romy and Mark. So we love helping them, and if it's of value to the team, we love doing that as well. And it's a perspective that I think comes from just years of having to deal with things that we've all had to deal with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about leadership mindset, because everybody, they want that. Well, let me say this. I could ask the easy question. Everybody raise your hands if you'd like to build a multi-million-dollar fortune and be an elite leader and have grasp of your life. And everybody does that. I mean, it's the easy get. I did it in front of the room in the A&P and everybody's hands go up. The thing about network marketing is the magic of network marketing is anybody can do it, but the truth is very few will in terms of going to the top, not because they can't, but because network marketing to build a multi-million-dollar future is actually a simple process, but that doesn't mean it's an easy process. Everyone who has achieved that level of success, it was extraordinarily hard work. It was massively hard work over an extensive period of time. And that's the truth. If there was an easy way to build something that could be a sustainable residual form of multi-million-dollar income, trust me, I'm as lazy as the next guy. I'd go get in that line with everybody. The difference is if you want to be a neurosurgeon, that's very complicated and very hard work. If you want to be a network marketing millionaire, it's actually very simple work, but it is very, very hard work and over an extended period of time. And so most people don't really, they think they do, but when they get to it, they may not have that, but that's okay. It doesn't make any difference what anybody's individual goal is because it's personal to you. And if I have one that is larger in maybe a financial scale than yours, but you've achieved yours and I haven't, then who really is more successful? And I think that what we sometimes do is, unfortunately in our profession, sometimes what happens is people are judged by the size of their stated goal rather than just being the quality people they are. And so one of the things I had said at the NMP is, first and foremost, to raise the profession, let's all come at our profession and at everyone, regardless of whether it's a grandmother who just wants to make a few $100s a month to spoil the grandkids, or it's someone who would just love to continue to be a teacher all their life, but they don't make enough to give their family what they'd like. And so I want to teach and find something on the side that will enhance our lifestyle, or somebody who would like to build wealth. Let's love them all equally and show respect and treat them all with dignity, because just because someone chooses to walk a different path doesn't make them less than you. They're just choosing a different path. And so if you do that, then one of the things, though, that I have found over the years that keeps the majority of people who we see have extraordinary potential from realizing it or achieving it is fear. It's just the simple thing. The truth is, and as much as I didn't like hearing it, my mentor early on, Daniel, said to me, he said, Curtis, you are where you are because that's where you deserve to be, brother, because that's the extent of your comfort zone. And I kept saying, no, but I'm whacking away at it. He said, no, you're not. You're creating a lot of activity, but you've not gone past your barrier of fear and extended your comfort zone so that you'll expand your result. And then we really spent a lot of time talking about that. And then he shared with me perspectives that suddenly made me realize where I so misunderstood network marketing, why I'd failed for so long. And all of a sudden I was able to not only break through myself, but I was able to help a lot of people do that. And I've done that since. So let me do this. Let me start the screen share, and I'm going to go and I'm going to just draw some things. And so I've started screen sharing, and here's what I want to do. I want to talk about, first of all, the mindset of leadership. And I'm going to kind of shorten it up. Here's the thing about leaders and those who have achieved levels. Well, let me step back for a second. I think leader and leadership is the most misused term in our profession. I've met people who make a lot of money, and they're the most horrific examples of leadership I've ever met in my life. And I've seen people who it's their very first day in network marketing. They have no previous experience. They're a team of one all by themselves. And the minute I meet them, I realize they're some of the greatest leaders I've ever met. They simply haven't turned it into tangible reality, but it's obvious they are. And the interesting thing about leadership is you're only leading if somebody's following. Otherwise, you're just out on a solo walk. You're only going to have people follow if you're worthy of being followed. And so leadership is really a decision. It's a decision, it's a process, it's an attitude that says, I will do what it takes no matter how hard the work is, I will commit to the process. But once people achieve that level of leadership where they are leading teams, there's something that's interesting about leaders, and that is this. Leaders, there are things that leaders just know. And it's critical. And first of all, they know the business. They truly understand the business they're in. And many people think that the business is your product. It's really not at the leadership level. They think the business is your comp plan. It's not at the leadership level. At true leadership, knows that they are in the business of two things. One, they're in the business of leadership development, themselves first, and everyone they can possibly help or influence in any way to develop into leadership as well. True leaders in network marketing, they've gone far beyond the product and far beyond the comp plan. It's not about the company. It's about they're in the leadership development business for themselves first and always and never stop developing. And they're in the business of developing leadership in others. Because the way great teams and large teams are created, they're not created by individuals. They're created by elite leaders and teams of leadership and teams of emerging leadership and teams of rising leadership and teams of growing leadership who then lead those who may never choose to walk the leadership path, but love being a part of a company because of those products and because of the family and because of the community that's created. The leadership leads, and that's why things go. So leaders know they're in the business of leadership development. The second thing, they're in the business of not wasting time, because time is the most precious asset. They don't have time to waste, and so they want to be effective and efficient, and they want to try and help people move from brand new, total intimidation into action, which can lead to success as quickly as possible. And leaders, great leaders, try to help their teams compress time. That's the second thing. No, the first thing. The second thing that the leaders know, in addition to the business, they know the critical skills. And there are critical skills that over time someone should develop if they want to be effective. And then most importantly, they know and they have learned and they understand human nature. That's what great leaders, that's where their real foundation is. They understand the real business. It's not the product or the comp plan. It's about leadership development so that it can support everyone who may not choose to walk that path in being more successful with their own personal goals and aims. They understand the critical skills that it takes and they work on those, and that's why, you know, Eric Worre's Go Pro, the 7 skills of network marketing professionals, is a great tool. Those truly are skills that professionals enhance and they focus on, and then they understand human nature. And here's where human nature kicks in. All of us, no matter what, whenever we find ourselves in the middle of something that is new to us, hang on a second, I'm trying to get over here. Let me hide the thumbnail for just a second. Need to get over here. Okay. Since leaders understand that, then here's what they also know is going to be true. There we go. They know that the most important thing you can do is you need to identify and understand who is the single most important person on your team. Whether you're leading a large team or you're just getting started and it's you and 5 or 6 people. Network marketing done properly is like a family. And I mean it, and I don't mean that to be schmaltzy. It really truly is like a family. And they have newborn babies, and they've got toddlers, and they've got young children, and then they've got teenagers, and then they've got, you know, emerging adults, and then parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and sisters. Network marketing done properly is like a family. And the single most important member of a family is a newborn baby, because they represent the future. If there are never any more newborn babies in a family, the family has an extinction date at some point. Well, that's what new people in network marketing are who have never done it before. Someone who's joined the company, they're brand new to the company, but it's their 3rd or 4th attempt at networking. They obviously have a passion for the concept. They may not have broken through yet, or if they're experienced and have had success before. You don't have to create things for them. They'll find their place. But what a team needs to do is, a newborn baby taken from its mother's womb at birth, the cord's cut, and if they literally took the baby and placed it in a closet and shut the door, they will not survive. They're incapable of surviving on their own. And that's what brand new people who, I don't care if they had success in banking or finance or anything else, if they're new to network marketing, if you don't surround them, protect them, nurture them, guide them, coach them, and help them develop, they're not going to survive. And so the single most crippling thing, there's one thing that can take new people and move them on a path towards success, and there's only one thing that will do it, and that's action. Only action will cause that to happen. Action is only taken by people if they have confidence they understand what they're about to do, what they're about to act upon. And so here's where people have the greatest fear. First of all, they have you can tell, these little pen tablets are not as easy to write on, but they have and my writing is just not good. So they have a misunderstanding of what the business is. The next thing is, because they have a misunderstanding of the business, they create huge emotional barriers for themselves almost instantly when they really don't need to. And the biggest reason is they think that network marketing is about selling, and it is not. This is network marketing, not network selling. Now, if we were in direct selling, if you were in Mary Kay or Avon, that is selling. But those companies have trained corporate trainers who teach every person how to go sell. And I don't know how you guys feel, but most people, if you had a large room and you asked 1,000 people how many you hate to sell, most of them raise their hands. If you ask how many of you hate being sold, most of them would raise their hands. Because sales is an elite skill. Because the sales as a profession is one of the highest paying professions in the world. And so if it's something you love, why wouldn't you go do it? Because great salespeople, you don't feel like you're being sold. You feel like you're connecting with an old friend. And they take you through a process of emotional connection. They know exactly how they're going to manipulate your mind. They know the process they're taking you through. They understand exactly all the questions they're going to answer before you can ask them. They're going to redirect your objection. They're going to go in for the kill, and they're going to hammer the close, and they're going to make the sale. That's direct selling. This is network marketing. Network marketing is not about selling. It is, in fact, here's the difference. If you go to network marketing versus sales, obviously sales is about selling. But if you go to network marketing is not about selling. It's about serving. And you don't close people, you attract. If you do it right, it is a little slower at first if you choose to attract people to yourself and to your vision and to your company and your team. But once you build this culture within your team, you can go through an acceleration that will last for the rest of your career. And the reason is this, that here's where people get bound up and here's where their fears come in. Let me give you an interesting statistic. My mentor, Daniel, and it's still true to this day, I took him on faith when he first told me. It sounded almost unbelievable, and I was in a bit of disbelief, but over the years, it's absolutely true. The typical general statistic is that in terms of people who are brand new to network marketing for the very first time, who then enroll, 60% of them will quit within 90 days. I mean, that's just extraordinary. Who expects to be good at anything in 90 days? I mean, really, seriously? I don't care if you're a bank teller. Do you expect to be a really good bank teller in 90 days? Everybody's still new and fresh. So how is it conceivable that if we had done a presentation talking about the quality of these products and the opportunity to build an income over time, not overnight, if we told the real story and didn't make up some hypey, fluffy, get rich in 10-minute story, but we really said it's a place where over time you can build a residual income, why would somebody quit in 90 days? What was the mismanaged expectation that set them up so poorly that after 90 days they felt it was time to quit? The number one reason somebody would quit that soon is fear. And there are two major fears. One, a fear of thinking they have to explain the product or service when they know, in fact, they don't really understand them. They're not really good at it. And nobody wants to feel stupid or look like an idiot. They don't want to do that. And the second reason they would quit in 90 days is because they... hang on a second. Someone sent me a message. I'm going to have to pull them out here just a second. And the second reason they would quit in 90 days is they have a fear of other people saying no, which causes them to rethink their decision. Did I really make a good decision? Everybody I'm talking to is saying no. And here's why. It's because they misunderstand the business. So I want to share some things with you. Here's the challenge. Most people have a problem with thinking that they are selling. Therefore, they think it's about presentation. Because presentation is what you do in sales. You have to know your product in detail. You have to know the process, because that way you can because if you have the presentation, you can be interesting, because that's what salespeople have to be. So you don't feel like you're being sold. You feel like you have a friend. In addition, the reason that salespeople concentrate on that and get so good at that, their desire is to get. And what they're trying to get is they're trying to get a result. Because if you take a look at traditional business, you've heard the saying, don't ever confuse efforts with results. Romy, I appreciate that you worked 80 hours last week. You hit 10% of the objective. Mark worked 10 hours, played golf the rest of the week, and hit 200%. You're fired. Mark, you stay, keep playing golf, just hit your objectives. That's called traditional business. Exactly. Now, let's talk about the real thing and who's really doing the work. No, I'm just kidding. But here's what network marketing is. Network marketing is, don't ever confuse results with efforts. Network marketing is, we are not selling, we are looking. Because if you stop for a moment and think about yourself, ask yourself how you got here today. How did you get to doTERRA? Someone approached you in some way, you saw something, and you were attracted to it. And so you chose it. What you're looking for is if you, rather than selling, because selling is an intense effort with a few and it's incredibly fearful. Of course, people, if they think that's what they're supposed to be doing, they're going to be incredibly fearful going into it. And we literally have killed our new people before they can even take their first breath. Instead, here's what network marketing is. Network marketing is not about selling, it's about serving. It's not about presentation, it's about mastering conversation. And the reason this is important, remember what I said? True leaders, they understand, they know human behavior. Network marketing done properly is about tapping into natural human behavior that by the age of 18, everybody's familiar with. Because the reason is conversations are not about being interesting, they're about being interested. And here's the difference. The biggest difference between selling, which is presentation, in presentation, you're trying to be interested because you are giving info. That's what you do. You literally give the information. So you're giving info. Conversation, interested conversation is not giving information, it's asking questions. Because all you want to do is you're seeking to find people who might see what you saw when given a chance to be in front of the information. You don't want to sell people. You don't want someone to be on your team who was sold to be there. You want someone on your team who, after seeing what you saw what you saw and chose to join this with you, because that you can do at speed. The time it takes me to sell one, I could have 50 evaluating the information, and I'm looking to see who sees what I see and is choosing. In other words, I don't want to get, I want to give. And here's what I want to give, because I do not want to influence the result. I don't want to make you say yes. I want to give you an opportunity to make a choice, because most people in their life have no belief that they actually have a choice. They believe they're stuck and where they are is where they are because that's the way life is. You see, the questions that are key are the ones we've talked about in some of the previous things we've done. Are you happy, content, and satisfied where you are? Do you have a plan if you have greater desire to go get it or make it happen? And if not, would you like to see a plan? It may not be of interest. I won't know that. You will. But unless you have the information, you'll never know. Let me give you an opportunity to take a look. Let me give you an opportunity to evaluate the information so you can make the right choice for you. That's the key, because true masters of network marketing, true great leaders and great masters of network marketing are masters of three things. They're masters of conversation. Oops. Conversation spelled really ugly, and the doctor, you would not be able to read that. That's kind of annoying. Conversation is asking questions, not telling information. They are then masters of listening to the answers that are given. Because if you ask the right questions and you truly don't intrude and listen as people share with you, they'll tell you all you need to know. Is this possibly the right person, or is this not? Because that's what we're in the business of. We're in the business of not finding the right people. The right person proves themselves to be that after they've joined your team by their choice to take the right kind of person's actions on a consistent, ongoing basis. You don't know that when anybody enrolls. They could have been a superstar banker, then a superstar realtor, then a superstar business owner, and they could be a total flop at network marketing because it may not translate. They could be an illiterate, never finished second grade, never was anything but a manual laborer or truck driver, but who's finally inspired and listens, learns, really works at it, really applies it, and they become a gigantic multi-million-dollar leader. Because I've seen both of those things happen. And so it's a matter of, hang on just a second. Let me do something really quick. There we go. Okay, I wanted to get it out of the way. And so they're masters of conversation, because through conversation, I can identify if you might be the right person. Who is the person that might be the right person? The person who, after I've asked questions and listened to their answers, so that I can eventually in the conversation find out, do you still have great dreams and desires that you've never yet achieved? If not, if you do have those things, do you have a plan? And if not, would you like to see one? The right person is not the person who says, yes, I'll join your company. It's sure, I'll take a look at it. I'm not going to guarantee you what I'm going to decide, but I'm willing to take a look at the plan. So if you know that the masters, great masters and successful leaders, they're not masters of presentation and skill, they're masters of human connection, human behavior, conversation, and then listening, and then they're masters of telling stories. Why? Because I don't have to talk to you a lot about the product. There's more data online. There's scientific evidence. I can let you go through that. I don't have to be the one presenting it. I can point you at it. I don't have to be the comp plan expert. I can point you at the things that will share that with you. The question is, what have other people who have come before you found out? And so great people, the greatest folks who are most successful are masters of asking questions, listening, focusing on someone else, zeroing in on them. In other words, when you're selling, it is about you. When you do network marketing and you're serving, it is about them. Now let's talk about how you eliminate fear forever. You're simply looking the wrong direction. In network marketing, if it comes back to making sure there is a team culture and a team behavior, and then team processes, which will always change and evolve and improve. But it's about creating together. And if they don't exist now, if the company doesn't have them, you get together as a group and you create them yourselves. But it's about having a system or a process of information delivery that can be consistent. And it's about, here's the DVD. The company doesn't have one, create one. The company doesn't have a video, make one. It doesn't have to be perfect and polished. You know something? You guys could do one of these Zooms, record it, and have it be the business presentation overview. Or you could do a product training one day. Or you could contact the company. So the company may have all of these materials and you tap into them. You create some yourself. You say as a team, here's the things we're going to create. Here's what I find is best as a team. If there are 3 things that somebody can go do during the evaluation process, watch this, listen to this, let me introduce you to them. The introduction can be at a local meeting if you do them. Let me introduce you to team leaders, team mentors, team coaches. So I'd like you to watch the DVD, look at this recording of one of our team webinars, and then let me introduce you to someone on a 3-way call, via a hangout, via a meeting, via whatever. Because everybody in the world, the magic of 3, it's small, medium, large, it's 1, 2, 3, it's ABC, it's slow, medium, fast. Everybody can handle 3. Ask them to do 5 things, you've blown some people away. 2, it's probably not enough. 3 touches. And here's where you can eliminate the fear. Step back for a second and say, how do you eliminate fear in a brand new person? When a brand new person joins the team, you sit down with them and it's a very simple process. Nancy's just joined. Nancy Curry's just joined. I say, Nancy, you're new to network marketing, all this stuff. How are you doing, girl? Here's what we're going to do. We actually operate as a team. And the good news is we don't leave our new team members out there by themselves. We actually surround and protect you because you're new and you have the longest distance to go. And we want to be able to get you into successful activity as quickly as possible. Now, since Nancy may have started with a package of product, I won't do it here, but Romy can walk you guys through, and I know you guys probably have seen a lot of them, where we talk about hot market as a way to not sell, because most people don't want to sell. So the last thing I want to do with Nancy when she's brand new is have her start selling. That's a horrific experience. I have her start moving product because of her passion for it to those she loves the most. And she does it as a financial swap. And the hot market, we can talk about that. So Nancy can go out and very simply, even via a text system or a simple less than 60-second phone call with 10-second answer. So in 1 hour, she could have talked to 30 people. There's a simple process to move her in action, acquiring consumers and saying, oh, wow, this is cool. That was fun. A little uncertain at first, but after a couple of calls, I got really, wow, this is great. I'm having fun. That's cool. Now let's move her towards team building. And how does that work? Nancy, you're not here to talk about the company or the product or the comp plan. You'll learn those things when you have done what I'm going to show you next hundreds of times. So it's a natural organic process because we have a team system here. We have DVDs we created. There's videos on the website. There's recordings of team meetings or trainings or coaching that we've done. We have all these things that all we want you to do is go through a simple process of helping identify out in the world who out there if they saw what we have, might see what we all saw and might be attracted to choosing to join the team. Part of that process, they'll have to evaluate the product and the other stuff. You don't worry about that. That's not your job because we work as teams. And here's how you eliminate fear. The fear is this: we aren't here to sell, and we're not here to convince, and we're not here to close. We're here to ask. We are here to serve and to care. That's it. And if I can take new people, and part of my first process with them is to say, if you would like us as a team to help you become successful, then here's what we want you to do. Don't look at the people that you see in the world as the people we're going to go attack. Look at them as people we just want to serve. And the only thing we want to do is give them an opportunity to make a choice. The truth is that the vast majority of people, even if they've got the nice bank job, most of them are suffering quietly and despair. They hate it. They just despise it. It's not a life of their choosing. It's not a life of their imagination. It's quiet desperation. Even if they're making $150,000 a year, you can talk to a ton of people who they despise what they're doing. They just wish they could find something that thrilled them. All I am when the fear goes away is when I realize their answer is not my responsibility. That's not my job. My job is how many of them could I get in front of with love in my heart and service, a desire to truly serve in my heart, and a true desire to focus on them, not me. A true desire to know, where are you? Who are you? Where are you in life? What are your dreams and desires that you've given up on? What is the hopelessness that you may be facing? I just need to know. I just seek to know. I truly seek to know you as a person, because even if we've just met on the airplane sitting next to me or at a restaurant for 5 minutes, in other words, if I will just say my role in life is to get up with network marketing and see how many people on the list of people I know and they know me, and everybody else on the planet I might be able to just touch by standing in the line at the grocery store with them and opening my mouth. Who knows where they might be? And my simple conversation, as limited as it might be, and don't think that every conversation is the one call close. It's not. Maybe it opens a simple conversation with an exchange of a business card or whatever it is. Maybe it's a process. Maybe it's developing a relationship with hundreds simultaneously who are in different points of the path, where your thought really is, I simply want to see if you're willing to open up. If you choose not to, that's okay. That's not on me. If you choose to say no, that's okay. That's not on me. If you choose not to want to look at it, that's okay. Because the point is, everybody is responsible as adults for they're responsible for their choices in life, and they're responsible for the consequences of their choices. That's not your job. Where you can eliminate fear is just shifting your mind and saying, you know something, I literally do. I have the opportunity to wake up every day and say, I get to walk outside if I choose. See how many of the people that are on this earth I could figure out how to run into or contact with a true servant heart, with the desire to truly no hidden agenda, no subversive objective. I simply would love to know who they are, where they are in their life, and do they have things that they've wanted that they've never been able to figure out how to get? Do they have dreams they've already set aside or thrown away? Do they have things that keep them from satisfaction and contentment? If that's the case, do they have a plan? And if not, would they like to see one? And if they say, sure, I'll take a look, then let me plug them into a system. Watch this, listen to this, let me introduce you to these. And when we're done, if you have questions, we'll stay with you until they're all answered. And when all your questions are answered, we'll leave the choice to you. Does this seem like a plan that's for you or not? And what you choose is of no concern of mine, because as long as you understand what you're choosing, I have served you. And if this is not the plan for you, then I wish you the greatest good fortune in finding it. You can check this one off. doTERRA was not your plan. I wish you, though, now that you're in the plan evaluation phase of your life, please don't stop, because you do deserve to find the plan that at least has the possibility of getting you everything you want. If we stop for a second and think back to Mother Teresa, you could have put her in front of a stadium of 10 million and she would have no fear. She would have never broken out in a sweat, and she'd have no hesitation, because it was so absolutely in no way whatsoever about her. What would there be to be afraid of? She would simply step up to the microphone and speak from her heart about the desire for those 10 million people to know that there are children in need, and if they could help, she would appreciate it, because that was her desire in life, was to serve. What you'll find is that if in their teams, if you can help new people to understand we are here to serve. And the key, if you personally, for you and your family, want to create a financial impact that over time can be dramatic, the question is, then how fast can you choose to serve? Don't serve a few, serve massive numbers as fast as you can. And the reason that, in fact, it was interesting, one of the folks that popped up that I was going to, on the chat that I was going to chat with tomorrow, we're talking about some things. He's one of the greatest networkers that's lived. And, you know, Jeff was once doing a leadership training, and he said, the reason it's so important that as you build your teams, you develop these cultures, and you start putting in place systemization, is if you do a little bit of it, like we've got a video, then we've got a whatever, an audio, or we got, you know, do this, do this, do this. Here's the 3 steps. Is then what a team can do over time is all you have to do to improve the result is adjust the process. Try a new video. If you don't get as good a result, throw it away and don't ever use it. Try a new video. If it works better, throw the old one away, use the new one. In other words, people don't have to become better. The system can evolve, and people will become better because the system becomes better because the results are better. And what happens is if we can help our teams understand, in network marketing, we are not selling, and it's not about you. It is not about presentation. It's not about being interesting so you can give information and not look stupid. It's not about getting a result. Network marketing done properly is about them. We are here to serve them, and we are here to serve them by having a true conversation without agenda, being interested in them, not in what we would have to say, not interested in what we would hope they would do. We truly don't care that they do anything other than what they know in their heart is the right thing for them. Then we have served them. And we do that by asking questions with open hearts, not with a manipulative, agenda. We listen carefully to the answers, and then we give them an opportunity to make a choice, knowing that whatever they choose is not our responsibility, it's on them. And if we do that, you will find that you can gain this confidence of wanting to go out and touch anybody and everybody you can at light speed, because there's nothing to lose. There is no fear. And when that happens, when you start developing a culture in your team, we are here to serve, but we are here to serve at speed. Let's not go slow. Let's go out and ask these questions, and let's engage with massive numbers of people. Why? I'm truly here to serve. Why wouldn't I want to serve hundreds today if I could? So when that happens, literally, because all it takes is people just have to engage a few times. They just start to engage and realize, that was really cool. I didn't beat them up. They appreciated that I loved them enough to talk with them. They went through the process. Most said no, some say yes. Because on average, when you get really good, you'll have 2.5 out of 10 say yes, 7 out of 10 said no. We had people at the NMP, one in particular who was one of the folks who stood up on stage because they're tremendously successful now. The first 45 people that they spoke with said no. They were 0 for 45 before they went 1 for 46. And when I was hosting Eric Worre's The GoPro Recruiting Mastery UK last November, we had a young woman who is she's the second highest rank in her company now after 4 years. But in her first year, she had 150. The first 153 people she presented to said no. How many people have 2 people say no and quit? And it's because they think that it's about them. Their presentation was not good. They're about selling and getting a result. And so that's it. If in our teams, if we drive through the culture, their decision is not our responsibility. Giving them the opportunity to make a decision and ensuring that they understand before they choose yes or no what it is they're saying yes or no to. If that is what we as a team are committed to, fear disappears, excitement grows, because it becomes massively fun. Because when you lay your head on the pillow that night after 10 people said no, but they were good no's, you had connected with them, they said they'd be willing to look, they did, it wasn't for them, you can sleep soundly saying, I did a great job today. I served 10 people who, after they had all the information, realized this was not their path, but hopefully they're on the path to finding their perfect plan. And tomorrow I get to go do it again. And when that happens and that mentality takes hold, you'd be surprised the speed of growth within your teams. You talk about having fun. It becomes incredibly fun. People are laughing the whole time because there's nothing to be upset about. There's nothing to be down about, but there's everything to be incredibly jazzed and emotionally excited about. And when that happens, that's when teams really start cranking. So that is literally how fear gets eliminated instantly. When people turn around and they don't look at themselves, when they see everybody that they could ever possibly approach as someone who might be in pain, covering it up on the outside, because that's what we all do. It's the way it's society we live in. And if I just maybe could be the one that they would let get past the cover up to find the truth, then maybe I could serve them and give them a chance to see something that if they chose it, working with this, because think about it. Look at all the folks here. Look at all these names. Look at these teammates you have. Look at the magic of this team of people. And imagine what could happen with someone who is suffering in quiet desperation, no matter how together they look on the outside. And because some member of the team went forward with boldness and no fear because they realize it's okay if they say no. It really is. But what might happen to them if they look at it, they see what we've seen, and they join this team. And this team of people surrounds them, embraces them, and they go forward. Imagine what that can be like. And when you develop that mindset in the team, because you do have such an extraordinary team here, and Romy and Mark and I, we've talked about a lot, the culture of this team and the true heart and spirit. It's amazing what can happen. And you eliminate that fear and you go cranking. Romy, have you met Angel Fletcher?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
Angel Fletcher is another one of our Romy Clarks, somebody that Lisa and I, we've collected, like Romy and Mark. Angel's obviously in a different company, but Angel at one time was in an incredibly abusive marriage not a long time ago, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Angel weighed she probably weighed over 300 pounds. She said, if you met me then, you wouldn't know me compared to now, because she walks into a room today. She has a personality. It makes Texas look like Rhode Island. It is. Boom, I am here. She exudes love, not in a little way. It is an explosive way, and nobody doubts that Angel loves every human being that she can possibly stop and smile at. But that's not how it started. In fact, she took her daughter and moved all the way across country trying to avoid the abuse and that kind of stuff. Was introduced to network marketing. It was a weight loss company. She lost 170, 180 pounds. Has now been through multiple surgeries, obviously, just to kind of help reshape her. But because of where she began, and she grew into this person. So she was a mousy, beaten down, totally, oppressed and just suffering individual who, when she finally broke through and she came out, her personality came forth, she is fearless. I mean, she is absolutely fearless. So much so that here's an interesting story, and I've told her that I share it. She said, you can tell anybody you want. I'm proud of the story. That she was at Eric Ward in Las Vegas. She was there a couple of years ago with her team. And she said, if you will just open your heart and if you will just look at people and only see them and forget yourself, you just don't count. It is not about you. You can sponsor anybody, anywhere, anytime. And so they said, really, anybody, anywhere, anytime. And they're in Las Vegas, and it was, 1 o'clock in the morning after that day's events, and the next day was a start. And they said, really? He said, yes, I can sponsor anybody, anywhere. I may not sponsor anybody, but I can sponsor anywhere. I don't care where it is. I can find somebody to go sponsor. They said, really? I said, okay, well, let's make a challenge. And they said, okay, where? They said, okay, it's 1 a.m. Let's go to a strip club. Let's see if you can sponsor somebody at a strip club right now. And Angel didn't even hesitate. She immediately said, okay, let's go. And, of course, they were shocked. They didn't think she'd take her up on it. So they took her to a strip club, walks right in, all these girls walking around, topless. She sits down. A girl comes up, starts dancing. She says, listen, I'll let you dance because I would love to. That's great. You're beautiful. That's fine. As long as you'll give me 5 minutes when you're done. I says, fine. So the girl dances for song. He sits down. She says, listen, I'm curious. You do this. Are you live in Vegas? She said, no. He said, oh, well, do you find that you're more successful here? She says, well, no. So, well, where do you really live? Oh, I live in New Jersey, but I travel on a circuit. She said, oh, really? Why are you traveling on a circuit. So I have a 4-year-old at home with my mom because my husband dumped me, left me. I don't have the education. And so I've got to figure out how to support my family. And she said, well, listen, if I could talk to you for 15 or 20 minutes, and in addition to what you're doing, if I could show you a way that maybe in 6 months we could replace your income and you could spend your life with your 4-year-old from that point forward, would you give me 20 minutes? She says, I'm off in an hour. If you'll be here, I'll talk to you. That woman right now today is the next to the highest rank in the company and her third strongest leader, and she is crushing it. And Angel turned around to those guys and said, don't ever tell me that I can't sponsor anywhere. Don't ever say that again. Now, maybe you can't, but Angel once, as one of a top leader, went out and sponsored 39 people on a Sunday to prove to her team they didn't understand what hard work could create, because obviously they're in weight loss. But you could take whatever it is that you specialize in. She walked through the checkout lines of Targets and Walmarts relentlessly. She found them all in town and went to all of them, because she said many times, I find, because it's one of the jobs she had at one time, I find people who are overweight standing in those checkout lines because they're at the register, their feet are hurting, their knees are aching, and I know what that feels like because 180 pounds ago, that's how I felt. And she goes through every single line. She goes and buys something, goes to the next line, buys something, says, sweetheart, you've been so nice to me, but gosh, it must get really tiring being on your feet. If I could show you a way that you could, stay here, but in another couple of months, I could help you get off your feet and out of here and make more money. Would you want to know about it? And she walked through lines when they'd get a break. And in one Sunday, starting at 8 a.m., and she went till 10 o'clock at night, she sponsored 39 people, called her team and said, don't ever tell me you can't don't ever tell me that you can't hit the numbers you need to hit to go on the trip or win the thing. And if you meet Angel, she is the perfect example of Mother Teresa. She only looks at other people. She has no fear herself. And yet this is a woman who 5 years ago was a beat down, or 6 years ago was beat down, oppressed, and abused. And she just grew out of it because she learned to look the other way. And that's what she teaches. She teaches her teams. Look the other way. Stop looking in the mirror. Look the other way. Open your heart. Go crush it and have a great time. And so there you go. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. That's how you eliminate fear. Another thing, just using Angel example, she always, when she goes out to restaurants, she always makes sure she eats about 9 o'clock at night. And she says, it's just when it works for me in my schedule. But she said, I'm always paying attention to my servers or the wait staff. Because if I see a server at 9 or 10 o'clock at night in a restaurant with a wedding ring, I ask them, oh, so you're married, whether it's a man or a woman. Are you married? Oh, really? Got kids? Really? I got kids too. Listen, I'm sure you're doing this because, one, you enjoy serving people, and you probably have to figure out how to help the family. If there was a way that I could show you something so that in another 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe you could be at 9 o'clock at home, not serving people food, but maybe being there with your wife or your husband and your children, would that be of interest to you? She doesn't care what they say. It's their choice. She just gave them the opportunity to make a choice. And so she goes to restaurants and looks for wedding rings and says, is this what you would want to be doing? She goes into bars and looks at bartenders who got wedding rings on and asks. And I mean, she says, if you will focus outward, you will suddenly realize there are a million ways you can start seeing people, and just ask yourself, is this really what they would want to be doing if they had a choice? Let me give them a choice. And she has tons of people not even willing to look, doesn't care. She relentlessly goes and talks to millions more. She says, my job is just to ask them if they're willing to look. After that, it's all the process. So there you go, guys. That's how you do it. Eliminate fear, turn around, look the other direction, go out and serve with an open heart. And as a team, just put together the process. Look at this, watch this. Let me introduce you to these folks. Whatever you choose is yours. That's not my job to choose. That's yours. Because in your heart, they're responsible for their life and the results and the consequences of their choice. Your job is only to give a choice. And then those who choose, run with them flat out and show them how to do the same. So there you go.
That was awesome. And it's so much easier. I mean, how easier can it be to just love people? And how cool would it be to be that person to help somebody like that is in a hopeless situation, really. And I was in a hopeless situation, and somebody gave me the choice. And thank God I took the choice, because then it's just that ripple effect. But it's so much easier to do it that way, and it's so much more rewarding, and it just tugs at the heartstrings.
Let me share something. At the NMP 2 weekends ago, Angel came bouncing into the room, and I saw her from a distance. And so she was hugging people. When she got about 30 feet away, I said, "Angel." She was guarded. So we came out and hugged. And she goes, "Oh." I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" She goes, "Oh, I have somebody you have to meet." She turns around, runs over, grabs this young girl by the hand, and drags her over. And her name's Kinsey, by the way. I saw Kinsey here. So Kinsey. This young girl's name's Kinsey, and Angel. I understand this is someone who is now in a second company, building a giant organization. She's a big 7-figure earner now, and she was acting like a kindergartner. And she goes, Curtis, quick, ask Kinsey how old she is. I said, "What? Ask Kinsey how old she is." I said, "Well, is that appropriate?" She goes, "Oh, just ask her." So I turned to Kinsey and I said, "Well, Kinsey, you don't have a wrinkle anywhere, so you look like you're 12. Okay, how old are you?" Kinsey goes, "I'm 17. I said, "Okay, that's great." Well, I said, "Wow, that's awesome. You're 17 and you're already in it. Wow, are you learning early? I wish I'd started that early. Congratulations." I high-five her. That's great. I turned to Angel and he says, No, we're not done yet. Ask her what performance percentile she is in our company. And I didn't even turn her away. It didn't mean to be rude. I said, "Angel, she's only 17. What do you mean?" She said, "Ask her what percentile she is in the performance in the company." I said, "Okay." "Kinsey, so what percentile are you?" She says, "I'm in the top 5%. And my brain almost melted. I thought, what? I turned to Angel and I said, "She's only 17. She goes, "Ask her why." "What? Ask her why." I said, "Okay, Kinsey, why?" She said, "Because I didn't want to be left behind." I said, 17, how do you get left behind? She goes, "No, I'm watching what all my older brothers and sisters' friends, they're getting out of college. They have no hope. There's no chance. There's nothing out there. I don't want to be left behind." I said, "Well, are you even out of high school?" She said, "Yes, I graduated last week. I'm homeschooled, and so I've been building the business for the last year. I'm homeschooled." In other words, all that happened was Angel found her mother working in a situation like we saw, sponsored her, and Kinsey started simply saying, and then Angel said, "Well, hey, you're not too young. If you want to do this, do it too. Just go." And Matt, and she's just so. It's just a matter of saying, I will look at everyone as someone who deserves to be given a chance to make a choice. Let them make their choice. Don't get hung up on the choice. Don't worry about the result. The result's not your job. People get fearful because they get result focused, because that's what we've always been taught. If you don't pass the test, you're going to fail and be put back. If you don't do the job, you're going to be fired and replaced. Not in network marketing. Focus on the process. And the process is open the heart, see the people they aren't showing, see behind it. And that's what Angel does. That's what you guys do. See through the facade and see the truth, and then see if they're willing to show it to you, share it with you, and then give them a choice. That's it. And you can give choices to hundreds in the same amount of time you can try to close 5. And then you go rock and roll. So there you go. How here as I know it.
I feel like I need to say this for some reason. So some of you have been listening to Curtis for a long time, and some of you are not familiar with Curtis. And so I just want to say that Curtis is not just giving us words. I've watched Curtis in a crowd, and when people stand in front of Curtis and he's talking to them, they really do feel like they are the only one in his realm at that moment. He makes people feel special. And so this is not just words. He's speaking who he is. He's awesome. And I mean, it's amazing how you feel when you're in his presence. And so he's not BSing you. What he's speaking is truth, and he's a good guy.
Thanks, Katie. Well, you gotta understand, I had a guy 26 years ago who didn't have to stop and say, "If you'll stop being arrogant and listen and work hard, I'll teach you right now." And the only deal was go teach it. So I share with people that I love to coach because on my own, I sucked. That's how smart I wasn't. I was horrific at this business. I was personally horrible. So I had someone who taught me what he knew. And once I knew it, I've never done anything but taught others what he taught me. That's all I do. And I give credit to him because I want everybody to know I'm not the smart guy. I was the dumb one who had a smart one. And I now just teach other people what I learned. And so, and that's what we all have the opportunity to do. all the opportunity to see something in others they don't see in themselves. And if they choose, now understand, they have to do the work. You can't work it for them. They have to do the work, and they have to go through the growth. None of us change anybody's life. And I know what they mean when they say on stage, we can go out and change lives. No, we can't. I'm very crystal clear about that. We don't change anybody's life. Two people can change someone's life. God or whatever higher power they believe in, and that job's taken, and I'm not him, or they can change their own life. That's it. So don't ever take that away from somebody. If their life changes, they changed it. What we can all choose to do, if we so choose, we can choose to the greatest degree we can possibly find within us to be a part of creating an environment with another team of people, to create an environment where if they choose, then there's a huge support group to help them along the way. That's what we do. But you're just here to give people choices. They then have to choose to do the work. And if they do it, then you lock arms with them, you saddle up with them, and you go run as hard as they're running right beside them. Don't leave them behind. And, although, listen carefully, it doesn't mean you don't leave people behind. If you're going to be a great leader, then you make the decision to run at speed. Some people will say, you left me behind. No, I did not. I gave you the choice to run with me. You chose not to. I couldn't slow down because others who were choosing to run with me, I had to run with. It's the commitment I made. And so that's the other thing. But you're just here to give choices and lead by example. If they choose not to run, that's okay. Run with the runners. But that's why you then have big group things. You have meetings and conventions. You have big things for those who haven't chosen to run yet. And they may never choose to run. And that's okay. And they can still be successful to their own degree. Just lead by example and do it with sincerity, and you're going to be good. You'll be fine. You'll be okay.
I liked that. That was good clarity. I liked that.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you more than you know. There's not words to express that appreciation. So you're awesome.
That's it. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Well, there you go. Now just go out and teach everybody that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I know you guys, your goal is you want to get 260 people to Diamond as fast as you can or whatever it is. So let's just go out. How do you get to Diamond?
Yeah. You have a mind like a steel trap. It amazes me.
You think I'm not going to you think I'm not holding you to it? Trust me. You said it publicly. I'm holding your feet to the fire. But I'll help.
Well, you're a big.
Guys, any other questions? Are we good?
Questions, guys?
Anybody got a question for Curtis tonight?
I've stunned everybody into total disbelief and silence. Well, that's okay.
I kind of have one.
That's okay. So I'm hopping on at 30 minutes. I'm doing a conference call. I'm actually doing a training with some teams in Hong Kong. So we've got some people in China I'm going to hook up with. So that's okay.
I think Jennifer has.
Oh, Jennifer. Okay, good. Jennifer's got a question.
Hi, Curtis. Are you going to be in Vegas? Or no, sorry, Dallas in a couple weeks? Or no, wait.
Unfortunately, I'm leaving to go back to Hong Kong on the 23rd. So in a couple of weeks, no. I'll be here for the next 10 days.
You'll be in Vegas in December?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, I'm hosting the event, and I'm going to be coaching there.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, my question is, I'm sure this is different for every company and for every situation, but how long would you approximate this kind of a conversation if you're having this with like a one-on-one? I do lots of one-on-ones at like Starbucks, and I want to lay it all out for someone to say, you can say yes or no, and it doesn't matter to me what you choose. I just want you to have all of the information. Is that a 15-minute speech? Is it an hour speech? Is it?
I think it's Jennifer, I hear what it is. I think it's a different with everybody's speech, but if you really, it depends upon where you are in the relationship. I don't is it somebody you just began prospecting and there's an evolution, or is it someone that you're one-on-oneing with someone else's prospect? Ultimately, it comes down to this: the speed. I've done it in I've done it really quick when I was sitting next to someone like at a diner up at the counter and just start talking to people, because at that moment I have 10 minutes. Okay, if I don't try at all, then obviously we have no opportunity. So I'm giving it a 10-minute shot. And at that point, I engage with someone and say, so are you just, you live here, or are you visiting? And I just engage however I can engage. But if you're really sitting down with someone, if it's someone or someone that is on your warm list, it's really about where you're building a relationship. The question comes back to this: here's what the three things I want to know. I want to know from Jennifer, right now in your life, are you getting everything out of life that you would want for you and those you love and care about the most. And if not, that's okay. Do you have a plan that you know is getting you there? And if not, would you like to see one? Now, one of the ways I can do that is I can do it by taking the pressure off of you. I don't have to machine gun you. That's the information I need. I don't have to sit there and say, Jennifer, I got 3 questions for you real quick. If I'm having a conversation of connection, and if we're sitting down there with a purpose, so one of the ways I would lead into it, if we've just gotten to a comfortable level, we've caught up on what's going on in life or the kids or what's been going on in at work, etc. I say, let me ask you a question. I had a good friend of mine ask me a question about a year ago, and it kind of caught me off guard, but we've kind of gotten to know each other, and it made me think. And so I ask this of people. I'm just curious. So Jennifer, here's what they asked me. They asked me if I was satisfied and content with life. My job's okay and everything was going pretty good, but they asked if I was satisfied and content, if I really had and was getting everything out of life that I wanted for my family. And I thought about it a second. I realized I wasn't. Have you ever felt like that? See, I just made myself the freak. I just said, I realized that I had the okay job and the car seemed to be okay and the house was there. But they asked me, though I looked put together for the world, how did I really feel? And I said, no, I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied and content. Have you ever felt like that? Because it's easy for you to agree to say, yeah, I've felt like that occasionally, because now you're joining the club. You're not the weird one. And so that's what, when I actually engage in conversations, I'll sometimes, depending upon how close I am with them, or if I'm really close, I can just, hey, Jennifer, let me ask you a question, because I really care about you and the family. Let me ask a question. I can go more direct, but it's kind of what Eric teaches with direct, indirect, and super indirect, which are different kind of approaches. But when I have that conversation, I'm trying to get to that. I've sat next to guys in airplanes. So are you headed back home? Or are you headed out to work? Oh, really? You got kids? Yeah, I do too. I mean, you travel a lot. Because I had a friend ask me, he said, do I have everything in life I've ever wanted? Because it seems so put together. And I realized I didn't, because I had spent so much time away from the family and kids. Have you ever felt like that? Because I'm sitting next to somebody on an airplane. The odds are maybe they felt like that. I said, because then he asked me, it was really kind of strange. He asked me if I had a plan to change it. And I didn't. I told him, I said, no, I got the mortgage. I have no idea. And then he, but at least I'm glad I had the conversation, because then he, asked me if I'd like to see one. And wow, the last 6 months have been amazing. Then I've had people say, really, what happened the last 6 months? And so, it's practicing conversation. Here's what happens. If you think about this, what if the next 100 people you approached all said no? Instead of being dejected, how about if you go send a bouquet of roses and a thank you card to all 100? Say, thank you so much for having given me the opportunity to sit down and talk with you, because I'm so good at what I do now. Because 101, you are freaking amazing. And that's kind of the perspective. When I saw that young girl on stage at the end of GoPro UK, and she said, my first 153 people said no, I turned to the person next to me and said, oh God, if I could have more people like that. Imagine how good she was when she talked to 154. Just imagine how good she was. She just hit all the notes. Now she's crushing it, second highest rank. That's my point. As you're sitting down, it's the perspective of mastering conversation and realizing everybody's an individual. So there's not a target amount. I wouldn't be sitting there for 3 hours. That's definitely not a good way to go. But some people, you'll just get a feeling. And the more conversations you've had, and the more you imagine being Mother Teresa, the more people you've gone out and asked for help, eventually one day you begin to realize, I think they're ready. And I've always learned that I could say it one of two ways. And like I said, if you're talking to the bank president, you say, well, listen, if you look at Eric's direct, indirect, and super indirect, listen, I've started something and I'd like to see, you're a successful business person. I'd love for you to take a look at it. Maybe you'd know some people that you could point me to. Now, maybe they're interested, and that's always been the indirect attempt. Let me see if maybe you know some people, hoping they will. But if not, if they do point me to people, those individuals, I probably need to build the relationship and say, what I'm looking for are some people who see what I see and see what I saw, and maybe together we can team up. There's not one way. There's no single way. It is getting a mindset of, if by chance you might be suffering in quiet desperation, how can I connect? How can I, in an unthreatening, truly giving, serving way, possibly get you to say, yeah, I mean, if there was a way, some of the old things, do you ever keep yourself open to additional options for, diversification and multiple streams of income? Those are some of those standard lines. Those are still lines that were based upon, are you possibly someone who would look? Because here is the universal truth, and it's for Jennifer and everybody. Every single person in network marketing who has achieved the highest level of success, if you go back far enough in their life, there was the day that they chose to look for the first time. It's the one thing that we all have in common. I'm looking for the people that today is their day. If given an opportunity to look, they're willing to look. Because if I have the look system, great, because it's a very simple process. I want you to walk through the same process I did. Well, tell me about the products. Well, no, I really need you to experience it the way I did, because I want to see if you see what I saw. So I'm not the product expert. I don't want to give you the bad experience. I want to get you the right experience. So I want you to watch this video, and then I'm going to send you a link to this recorded webinar, and then I want to introduce you to some of our team coaches or mentors. We have an introduction call, or we have a whatever, or a three-way, or I just want to get you on the phone with them, because you not only need to think that the program's for you, you'd want to know that the coaches you connect with. I mean, it's all of that. And so I laid it out for people. I said, so there's 3 simple steps. I want you to do this, this, this. If you've got questions, we'll handle them. And at that point, you'll know enough, and if it's either for you or not, I'll leave that decision to you. And so if you're doing a lot of one-on-ones, remember, your job is not to explain the products, not to explain the comp plan. Your job is simply to say, would you be willing to look at something that might? I don't know. You'll know. But if you look at it and see what I see, together, I think we could make a great team. But if you don't see what I see, that's okay. Then maybe you can go find that plan that's best for you, because you deserve to have everything in life you've wanted, and you deserve to be happy. That's the approach. So I suddenly stopped telling them about the company or the product or the opportunity. I let the process do that. And what I did is I started saying, are you someone who is at a point in your life that, without having to change anything you're doing right now radically, would you be open to looking at something that might radically over time change your life? So you don't have to change your life to engage, but over time, if you see what I see, maybe this will help you radically change your life the way you would want to. If that's possible, would you just want to take a look? No? Okay. That's great. If you ever change your mind, here's my number, give me a call, because you're not potentially the right person. If you're not at a point, because here's the thing, the most successful people in life, here's what they all have in common. They look at everything. The most successful people in life look at almost everything, because successful people know you never know where the next amazing thing is going to come from. They choose to do very few things. They choose to do almost nothing. But the most successful minded people will look at everything. They're very, very picky and selective about what they do. If someone won't even look, that's who I'm looking for. What did we all have in common? We were willing to look. That's my only requirement. I'm looking for somebody who's willing to look. I, in fact, don't want to tell them about the product. I don't want to tell them about the comp plan. I don't want to tell them, because I want to put them in a process where every single one of 150 of them are going to get the same information in the exact same order. So the way I get better result, I improve the things they see. I don't have to be better. That's how you get these massive growth trends. And so as a team, if you've got resource from the company, if you've got those things, great. But if not, the process is, I just want to know if you're a person who would look at something. If you're not, great, that's okay. Now's not your time. If you're a person who would look at something, great. I want all of you to look at this step 1, this step 2, this step 3, because then I improve step 1, 2, 3, and I get better results. I don't have to be better. My team doesn't have to be better. We just create a better 1, 2, 3. That makes sense.
I'm going to be watching this recording over and over and over again, because there's so much great stuff in here. I'm going to be like an old dog with new tricks, because I can't wait to try this on somebody instead of what has been successful for me with just showing people my process with the oils. But it'll be fun to try this process with
people. Don't abandon. But I'll tell you what, Jennifer, let's do it. No, but just do this. I'll tell you what, here's something, because here's where it really gets powerful. If you guys can team up in pairs, locally, somebody where, because here's what I would do. If you and I were in the same town, here's what I'd say. Let's not stop the oil presentation part. You ask them if they're willing to look, and then you introduce them to me. So what we would do is we would team up, even if we were sidelined. And all of my prospects, I would introduce you as the expert. And all of your prospects, you introduce them to me as the expert. And we would drive each other's team. Why? If you're the expert for your prospect, they think they have to become an expert before they can go out and care about people. When we went in high-speed building, none of us, what we learned from my mentor, none of us gave the information to our prospects. But we didn't want them to wait. So I'm not saying you don't do the oil thing. I'd say, listen, I'm going to line up prospects. You're going to be the expert. You line up your prospects. I'm the expert.
No, this is great. This is great because for me and my team, I feel like I'm doing everything from start to finish, and no one on my team, sorry everybody who's listening, there's people that do it, but I get this all the time where people say, you have to come teach the class, you have to come teach the compensation plan, you have to introduce me to people, and I'm doing everything. Now I can tell people, you don't have to be the expert, just talk to people,
Okay, then here's what we'll do. I'll tell you what, Broome, give us a couple of weeks. I'll be back in Hong Kong. How many of you guys have local meetings, even if you do small home meetings or whatever? How many of you guys do local meetings? A few of you? Okay. Broome, here's what we're going to do. In another couple of weeks, I'll come back. I'm actually going to diagram the psychology of an effective meeting. There's an actual science behind meetings. And I'll diagram an actual meeting. And a meeting is never done by one. There are a minimum of 4 participants, 3 of whom can be brand new and relatively inexperienced. But their participation is so simple, they can do it effectively. You only need 1 monster person to close it out, but everybody else who's taking a role, they are evolving very rapidly into being able to be that person. So that, Jennifer, what happens is you get out of the meeting then, and you would still need to be there, but what happened is you would have other people doing it, and you would be the special guest introduced at the end to clean it up. But the more they do it, then all of a sudden you don't have to be at that one, you're at the next one. And I'll show you guys.
And that's awesome because then they become leaders. They don't just become.
That's it. You can start with a brand new person who's been in the business 3 weeks who starts off as the meeting MC. So I'll teach you guys, if you guys are doing local meetings, there's an actual diagram. It was something I learned 30 years ago, 25 years ago. There is a diagram to the psychological art of an effective meeting. And if you do it, in fact, you would do the last part only if you're the strong leader, and you would be developing people who then they would do the last part, probably not as well, but they would just do it mechanically, and you would do the cleanup. And once they've done it mechanically, 8-10 meetings, they are as good, and now you're gone and you're helping support the next group. And they're now supporting and growing groups. So we can show you how to go into explosive local meeting duplication once you've got that. I'm so sorry, Romy. I should have taught that a long time ago. It just never dawned on me, because you guys do so much digitally, but your people are doing so much physically. I'll actually diagram the psychology meeting. When you guys see it, your jaws will go, bah, and then you guys will go right. And I'll tell you, within 30 days, you guys will have such explosive growth in your local meetings. It'll blow your minds. And you'll start then spawning other meetings at light speed in nearby communities.
Sweet. We'll plan it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. Not a problem. Then, yeah, let's do that. We'll, because next week I'm slammed, so I can't do it. But the following week I'll be back in Hong Kong, and we'll do it. We'll pick a time, I'll hop on, and we'll record it. And if it doesn't even fit with this time, then we can just get on a Zoom, and I'll literally diagram and record it. You guys can just watch it. It's just a simple education.
Okay.
But if we can do it here, I'll do it so that way you guys can ask questions, and it'll be a good recording. Okay?
Sweet.
In the meantime, everybody go to Target.
Exactly. Rock and roll. All right, guys.
All right.
Glad I could help.
Very much.
Curtis, thank you again. We went well over our hour today, and we know that you have another meeting right away. So
that's okay. Jennifer had a great question. I just get excited about things like that. It's just good. Yeah. Can't help it. That's why you see me at these events, and I'm sometimes sitting there at 3 and 4 in the morning. Why? Well, they were asking these fun questions. I had to answer.
Yeah.
So
well, we really appreciate your time and you taking the time to help us, and as we always do. And we appreciate you guys being on it with us every week. We just love you guys, and we're so glad that you're getting something out of these Sizzles, and we just love you and appreciate you all. So everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Safe trip back to Hong Kong, Curtis.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks, gang.
Yep.
Love you guys. Talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Okay.
See
See
ya.
ya.
Yeah, bye-bye.